Welcome to episode 17 of the Sensitive Soul Support Podcast. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning.
So this episode will be on YouTube, right?
Yes, I'll put this
Okay,
on
we're
YouTube.
coming back to YouTube. If we're not on YouTube, I might be sitting back more on my chair, just relaxing a little bit more. So we will be hopefully on YouTube with this one. So today we decided to spotlight what it is like to be entrepreneurs, or I like to say spiritual entrepreneurs, running businesses as highly sensitives. This is definitely a big part of both of our lives, and hopefully we have some listeners out there who would really benefit from hearing about what we've had to do along our path of being entrepreneurs to support ourselves. Because running a business as a highly sensitive person is very challenging for so many reasons. And without the awareness that you're a highly sensitive person, it can probably be the kind of thing where when you start as an entrepreneur, you could easily burn out and stop doing what it is that you love doing or that you know you're meant to do here. So we're going to dive into that because we realized, we want to talk about life and business as HSPs, and we've not yet had the conversation about business. So we're going to dive into all of that today.
Yeah.
I've been an entrepreneur. It's like even strange still for me to say that I'm an entrepreneur, to be quite honest. But I've been an entrepreneur since 2018. So it's been 4 years.
Wow.
I've only been an entrepreneur for 4 years.
Yeah, that's not long at all. Gosh, you're kicking ass, Stacey.
Aw, I think thank you. And I think there's a reason why you might look at me and say I'm kicking ass. It's because I had that awakening early on in the process that I can't do my business the way that most people do. I had to learn that there was a certain way for me to run my business. And I think that's why you looking at me, you're like, you're kicking ass. And I feel like I'm doing really well. But had I stayed on the path that I began on, like maybe that first year, I never would have made it this far. Never. So,
yeah. So what do you think woke you up to were you trying to go to business coaches or ask people, how they're running their business and then finding that what they were advising wasn't working for you?
Yes. In the beginning, so let me back up just a moment because not everybody might know my background. I was a teacher. I was an educator for 11 years. And then I resigned from teaching to have my family. So all I knew was being a teacher. I had no business background, no business understanding, nothing, zero. In fact, everything about business used to turn me off. I used to kind of stick my nose up to business owners at one time. It was not a place where I could ever feel authentic or comfortable. I remember when I worked for a corporation as an intern in college, and it was the weirdest place for me. I knew intuitively that it didn't feel good to work for a business. It just didn't feel right in my body and my skin and my bones, but I didn't know any differently. And I thought it was like a good experience for me and a good opportunity. But I was so happy when that was over, because for me, it was like, I don't want to be a part of a business. Business to me was like yucky. And it felt like everything about business to me felt inauthentic. I don't know. That was just a story I brought to what it means to be in business. And when it, I never set out to be a businesswoman. Like this part of my life now, this career I'm in now, this was never part of my plans. Like universe put me here.
Yeah.
So I just kind of felt the nudges and the whispers, and this feels really good. And I think this is my next best step, until it was like, oh my God, this means I have to start a business for myself. And so I had no training, I had no background, and everything I thought about business up to that point was not good.
Yeah.
So it was a tough transition to to make the mental leap to say, I can be a businesswoman, but I can do it in a way that feels aligned for me. But
Mm,
it took me some time once I began my LLC and I realized, this was what I really wanted to spend my life doing now, helping other people, supporting other women on their path of healing and wellness. Um, it just was really overwhelming. I didn't really know what I was doing. And so I did what probably a lot of people do. I went online and I looked at a billion different programs. I signed up for 1,000 different webinars and workshops and master classes and 3-day events. And I tried to find a system of doing things that would feel good for me. And I was searching and searching and searching for all these different coaches and mentors and experts. And there's so much out there. There's so much out there. And it's
yeah.
so easy to get lost in the soup of try this program, try that program. This is the way to do it. That's the way to do it. It was so overwhelming for probably like a good full year. But I kept taking steps and I kept putting myself out there in my smaller communities, like in small ways. So that's what kept me grounded, is like, this feels really good. Doing this work feels really good. And then I was so lucky to have found a course in business miracles for highly sensitive entrepreneurs in my searching. Eventually, I found a program that would teach me the foundation for how to do business as a highly sensitive person. And I didn't even know that existed. But like I said, the universe, like the nudges, the whispers, the universe met me where I needed to be met and said, like, hey, look into this. And thank God, because up till that point, I was really overwhelmed with how to market. I didn't know how to write an email or a broadcast. I didn't know how to put myself out there. I didn't know how to figure out, do I want to work with a lot of people or a few people? It was so confusing because there were so many systems out there to follow. And when I found that program, which was such a wonderful experience for me, I think it was 6 months to a year. And then I left that program. I felt so much more like I had a foundation now. And what I learned there, which was the most important thing, it's the same thing I learned in nutrition school, was it's all about finding what works for you individually.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there is no one size fits all to run business if you're a highly sensitive entrepreneur. Like, you cannot run business the way 80% of people do. It does not work for the way our systems are wired.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, I know, like, the blueprint that people, put out and are like, oh, just follow this formula and your dreams will come true. That does not work for me at all, because I have to feel authentic and intuitively led. So when I'm looking at something all written out like a map and I'm just following it, it doesn't feel good. It just doesn't.
And that's the authenticity for all of us. Like, we're such authentic to a fault almost
Yeah.
people that if it doesn't feel good to us intuitively, like we can't do it. And it's not that there's anything wrong with us. And it's not that we failed at that thing or that system or that blueprint. It's that we have to do it a different way. We have to do things in a way that feels right for us, or we're using someone else's blueprint and that just doesn't feel good at the end of the day. So we can't sustain that.
Yeah.
Right. We just can't sustain it. So it's about finding what works for you. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs who are highly sensitive, they need to know this. Like, if they don't realize that there's a different way to do things, if they're not even aware that they're highly sensitive people, because I didn't know when I first started my business, I didn't know I was a highly sensitive person. I hadn't made that discovery yet.
Right.
So I didn't even know that there was a program out there for me. So once you realize you're an HSP/empath, it's like, it's a game changer, because then you say, okay, well, like, now that I know I'm in this 20% of people and I navigate the world so differently, that doesn't just apply to relationships. It also applies to how you run a business. It also applies to how you parent. It applies to every part of your life, not just one small part.
Right.
So if you don't have that awareness, it's so sad to me. Like, there's probably so many wonderful people who are so, they're called to serve, and they
Right.
try running a business and they burn out and they can't do it because it's so freaking overwhelming. It's because they didn't realize they could do it a different way and there was something out there for them.
Yeah, it is unbelievable how hard that journey's been for me. Like now I have been running a business a lot longer than you because I did hair before I became a photographer, and I did hair out of my house for years. However, I never looked at it as me running a business. I was like,
Mm,
oh, people are just coming and hanging out in my kitchen and, I'm getting a little extra cash for it. So I didn't treat it like a business. I really never looked at it like I was a business owner. And I came to a realization with my photography that like I wanted to turn it into a legit business. And it was kind of like, Jen, you've been running a business all this time, but just not giving yourself credit for it. Even though it looked different, it was still a business. It was a much more relaxed way of approaching it. But it worked for me, you know? And I'm still doing that now. And I think I have that internal dialogue all the time that is like, you're failing at running a business because you're not doing it the right way. And it's like, says who? I'm fulfilled through my interactions with my clients. I mean, there's so much that I think we have this like skewed view of what running a business looks like. And we're not even able to like step into our power because we just don't think that we have the ability to run it that way. And it
mm,
took me a long time to give myself that permission to say, no, I can run a business and it doesn't have to look the way that everyone else that runs a business around me does. But luckily, I have met a lot more people like you. And you guys all helped me learn that you're all doing it too. And even though I feel like I'm floating all the time and I'm like this imposter, I'm doing the work, whether I want to give myself credit for it or not. Right.
mm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think imposter syndrome is a very, it's something that a lot of us have struggled with or are still struggling with. As you just said, like it's still real for you. Those days you wake up, you're like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm an imposter. Um, yeah, I think that's a very common experience for like all entrepreneurs, not even just HSBs. I think for
Yeah.
all entrepreneurs, we can say like, who do we think we are? Who do I think I am to be running this business? And, the gift of the gift of having the spiritual, so as an empath, we have these like really profound spiritual experiences, which by the way is not always true for highly sensitive people. So that's a difference between empaths and HSPs. But as an empath, as someone who is open to and receives a lot of spiritual, I don't know, just is very connected to the spiritual realm. For those of us who are empaths, the spiritual part is what got me to move from, I have no right to be doing this. I'm an imposter. Who do I think I am? I don't have enough credentials. I don't have enough. I don't know enough.
Yeah.
Took me out of that place into the spiritual part of me, took me into a place where I could very comfortably relax into the role of who I am, who I serve, and how I do it. Without that spiritual piece, I would still be, like I said, flailing, and I would have probably just given up and
I
said,
absolutely, me
I
too.
can't do this. So it's the spiritual piece that I think for so many entrepreneurs who are highly sensitive is so necessary to stay connected with
Yeah.
and to do the most work around. If you're like a new business owner and it's that overwhelming thing and you're looking what everyone else is doing and you're seeing all those posts and ads on Facebook and Instagram, how I made my first million in 90 days, or, you start to compare yourself and see all that stuff out there. It's the worst thing as a highly sensitive entrepreneur. Like that comparison thing
Yes.
is so detrimental to us staying in our lane and being really grounded and rooted in knowing that we're here to serve our sacred contracts and
Yes.
thinking of people as such and not as like I still use that word all the time, that phrase, like sacred contract. The women that I work with are not even necessarily clients. They're not they're sacred contracts of mine.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's been the game changer that helped me stay in my lane and realize that, yes, this other amazing coach or healer is doing this amazing work and she's making thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And she's just, everything is, the way that they make it look like it's just so easy is all,
Yeah.
like, to me, a bunch of bullshit anyway. Like, it's so not easy to be an entrepreneur. It's so not easy.
No.
But the spiritual part, again, it's like, that is, as long as I know in myself and I can stay connected to my truth and it still feels true for me deep in my heart and in my bones, that I am here for a reason, that I was led to this place for a reason, that it took a lot of pain and suffering and work and healing and energy and time and money investment. Like, it took a lot for me to be able to sit here where I am now and to serve from this place.
Yeah.
Like, that is what I have to check in with every day, not seeing what everyone else out there is doing. It's checking in with me and feeling in alignment with it all. But it's not easy by any stretch. It is challenging in all areas because being an entrepreneur requires a lot. It's not just serving. There's a lot of elements to it.
Speaking on the spiritual part, like something that's really helped me is like, it takes a lot of pressure off of me when I literally like pray and open myself up before each client and say, like, use me as a vessel, allow me to deliver the wisdom and hold the space for this person so that they can feel exactly what they need to feel. And I feel like that takes a lot off of me because I don't feel like I'm responsible. I have to know how to do it.
Yes.
I'm
That's
allowing
so
spirit
big.
to move through me, right? And that is the shift, I think, that changed everything for me because I feel more divinely led.
Yes. And what you just touched on is such a common experience for empaths, is like the over responsibility, like feeling like we're responsible for this person's experience if they say yes to the photo shoot or yes to the HMR session, right? Like, we feel that sense of, oh shit, I'm responsible now for this person. And what you said is so great. Like, if you remember that as a highly sensitive person, as a highly sensitive entrepreneur, the work you do is it's you're serving your karmic contract here. You're serving your sacred contract. It is spiritually led. It isn't about you. And that's something I tell myself too all the time. It's like, it's not about me. It's not about me. It's bigger than me. I always say that it's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. Spirit used me to the best of my ability. Like, use me as an instrument to the best of my ability to help this person heal, to help this person with whatever. And it does take the burden off of me to feel that sense of I'm responsible for it. As soon as that sacred contract says yes, spirit has taken over. Spirit is now leading. And I'm just the guide. I'm just the vessel. I'm just the instrument that's being called upon to assist in this person's evolution or ascension, right? Really, So if anyone listening is saying, like, I want to start a business and I'm terrified of doing it, we feel you, we get it, we hear you, we've been there. And know that your way of running your business is going to look really different than 80% of people that who have a business. So you have to align with the support and the people who get what running a business as an HSE really looks like. Otherwise, you're going to be in that overwhelmed state, which for me, it was like overwhelm. And then it can lead to like paralysis. It's like, you're trying, and then you just crash and burn because you're exhausted and you're like, nothing's going to work for me. I don't know how to do this. It's too hard. I guess I'll go back to my job.
Yeah. And one thing that I talk to you about all the time is like, you're a type A. So you at least have like this structure and like organization that you enjoy and comes natural to you. And me as an artist does not. So that is a huge part of my struggle in being a business owner is like embracing structure and organization and not resisting it, right? Like it does not come natural to me at all. And I do aspire to get to a place where I'm paying someone else to do that part. So I just get to do what I love to do, right?
Yes.
And I will get there. You hear me? I will.
Of course you will. Of course you will. Yes. Yeah.
But it's such a huge part of running a business. Like, you know, you have to know how to track your finances, how to schedule your clients, how to have some sort of organized system in place when people sign up. Like, I literally float, guys. I'm going to be honest here. I float. I don't have a Calendly where you can go. I'm like asking you, okay, when do you want to come over? You want to come next week? Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm so free spirited that sometimes I get in my head where I'm like, I'm doing it wrong, but it's worked for me up until now. I don't know that it's going to continue to work if I get more consistent clients and get to level up the way I desire to, right?
Mm-hmm.
But until now, it has worked for me. And I've been doing it. Gaia Dawn's been around 5 years in April. 5 years.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah.
Just to those people out there that are like me, I want you to know it is possible. And you can still run a business while having, you know, this spontaneous, artistic, free-spirited way. However, there may come a time where you need help and you need to hire somebody to do the structured stuff because it's not working for you. And I'm approaching that point in my business journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think what you're talking about is so good because there are definitely times where I'm much more in the masculine energy as a business owner. And then there are times when I'm much more in my feminine energy as a business owner. And I feel like there's always like this, you got to balance it. You got to have the masculine and the feminine. And I'm like, no, fuck that. There are times when I must be in my masculine energy, like when I'm in an enrollment period and I'm having conversations with women and I'm, you know, tracking conversations and I'm figuring out pricing structures, or I'm thinking of timelines of how to roll things out. I have to be in that more organized, linear, masculine energy. But then when I come out of those phases as a business owner, I can rest into the softness of the feminine energy and let the creation process begin and really start like asking, you know, spirit for more support. So I find there are different phases as a highly sensitive entrepreneur, always being in spirit, but riding and dancing the waves of when to be in the masculine energy and call on more of that, and when to be more in the feminine and call in more of that. And to me, that's the fun. That's like the dance of figuring it out. When am I in too much masculine? When do I need to soften? When am I being too soft and I need to pull in more of the masculine? And I don't know if I'm ever in a place where it's balanced per se. Right. I hate that word. I fucking hate the word balanced because I don't think it exists, but it's like riding with the waves of when we need to call on the different energies. Yeah. And that can be very helpful too. It's just to like turn that over to spirit and say like, can you help me? I need more masculine energy right now. Can you deliver it to me? Or, okay, I feel like I'm too masculine. Like I got to soften again. Can you help me find my feminine again? So always communing with spirit, right? To help us to move in and out of these different energies, to support us to do all the things. And I'm lucky I was a teacher. I had to be really organized. I had to learn how to plan backwards. I had to learn how to, create a unit and deliver it. Like as an educator, that was I'm like, how fucking perfect was it that I had to go through 11 years of education to help me to do this work, which is what that led me to.
You're still a teacher. Yeah. You're just teaching in a different way.
Of teaching have translated.
Right.
So I feel so blessed. Like that worked out really well for me, where other people may have not had a job where it was a lot of structure and you had to be on top of things and a lot of that masculine energy. it's so much harder. It's so much
It's,
harder.
I gotta tell you, even being the mom of four, like obviously you have to embrace structure and like organization, or you're gonna live in chaos. Like, so that has been one of my biggest lessons in life, is learning how to embrace that masculine, that structure. Like, it is so foreign to me. It is just not something that comes easily. However, I see and honor like the benefits. It's definitely needed. So I like what you're saying in that, like, you know, sometimes we need to call more of that in. And personally, I know I've always felt like, oh, I need to bring the God into the goddess, right? Because I live in the feminine, like that is where I live. It's just what's, I don't know, what's innately easy for me. And instead of me beating myself up for that and thinking like this is wrong, I'm actually using that to serve. I mean, look at the ways I serve with my feminine, right? So I've embraced that. I am primarily in the feminine, and that's okay because I use that to serve, you know. And it's so like amazing how you can get in your mind and be like, well, everyone's telling me this is wrong, so I've got to stop being this way. And it's making peace with, well, if you're a very organized type A person and you're in the masculine most of the time, you use that in your life to benefit you. It's a good thing, right?
Mhm.
So like making peace with, if something comes easy to you and other things don't, that's okay. We all have our gifts and strengths. And that's why we have friends and we hire people and we have other people help us fill in those gaps. I
Sure.
mean,
Absolutely. Yeah, we leverage the gifts. We leverage the parts that are easy. We leverage the parts that are natural for us. And the other pieces, I always say like experiment. Like it could be for every person that like maybe have like I can't remember my life without Calendly, my scheduling link, because I have all these different event types now. And if someone wants to talk to me, now I send them a link and then they can just check my schedule. Oh my God, they can just look at my schedule and see where my openings are. And then they can just slide into an opening and I don't have to go through the mental anguish of, okay, I got to move this appointment. I have to, that is such a time saver and an energy saver for me. It saves my energy. And for me, anything that can help me get back more energy that I can then give to my client, my sacred contract, I'll take that. So I think for like those listening who are more in that feminine, like you are, and structure feels so foreign and like, oh, I don't like the structure and that's so hard for me. I would say like, try one thing, experiment and find if it feels good for you, and it may not, and that's okay. There is no right or wrong way to do any of this. I have a friend who was in a program with me. She's also a spiritual entrepreneur. She's an intuitive guide, and she's been in business for like over 10 years, maybe like 12 or 15 years even. And she told me recently that she just got Calendly, speaking of Calendly, and she said, I can't believe that I didn't have Calendly at some point. Like, I don't know why I resisted it, but like, it's so great. Like, it's so easy. And she feels so good now. She like, that was a huge breakthrough for her to just get Calendly, to buy into, there's a system out there that can save me time and energy and make the scheduling process easier on her clients. Like for her, it was like a miracle. It was a huge breakthrough. And she's been doing this for like over 10 years and never had a scheduling system until now. And so she's so happy that was like a big thing for her. And now she uses that. But again,
all
like,
right, I'm convinced it's on
you don't need to have a Calendly, but try it. It's like, try what could help you. And if you like it, maybe try it for 6 months and say, you know what, this is not really doing it for me. And that's okay too. Like the thing is that once we make these little decisions, I'm going to try this one thing. It's not forever. It doesn't have to be for life. You get to change your mind. If that's not working for you, you find a different one, or you say, I don't really need this. I didn't need to spend the money on Calendly because I'm doing fine the way I am. I'd rather, maybe you enjoy scheduling people one at a time. And that's something that you find to be, I don't know, nurturing or something. So there's no right freaking answer is the point. There is no one way to do it. And it's all about trial and error and hearing about different things that could help you and then giving them a try and not being afraid to try something with the permission that if it doesn't feel good long-term, and you get to change your mind, you get to change it.
That's the beauty of being your own business owner, is that you get the say in how everything works.
Isn't that
And
crazy?
like it's the pros and the cons, right? So
Crazy,
like
right?
it's all on you. However, it's all on you. Like
Yes. But again, like,
that you're doing something that you don't like doing anymore, you can
you
release
stop.
it.
Yes, you just stop
And if you
it.
decide that you want to become something new, you can do it.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. There is so much freedom. I swear, you see people post like this on Facebook all the time. They post a picture of themselves at the beach, and you see like their legs, and you see the ocean, and they're like, just another day in the office. And
Yeah.
it's true. It's like, there is so much freedom in being a highly sensitive entrepreneur. There's
Yep.
so much freedom. It is such a blessing and such a gift. I love being a mom. I love being with my kids. I love being around my kids.
Yeah.
I didn't take this job to have something else to do so I don't have to deal with my kids. I wanted this in addition to being able to be around for my kids.
Yeah.
And I have the freaking privilege and luxury of scheduling clients when is good for my schedule so that I can be a mom. I can show up for my kids whatever time I want to that day. Right.
Yeah.
So there is so much freedom in running a business, but it is really challenging. And there are a lot of aspects to it. But when you know, like we started with, when you know that because you followed the whispers and you're so connected to your intuition and spirit that you're meant to do the work that you're meant to do, you can't really look back. At least for me, I couldn't go
true.
back
No,
at a
me
certain
either.
point. There's the point of no return. It's like, this is it for me.
Yeah.
I could never abandon this work because I'm so connected to the spiritual sacred contract that has me doing this work. And my clients validate over and over for me the work that we do. It just continues to validate for me that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Until that stops happening, this is where I'm going to be. Right. And if
Yeah.
that ever stops happening, I'm going to be open to that too and say, okay, my karmic contract is complete. I have served the people I came here to serve, right? If that happens, I'm open to that too. But for now, like, this is exactly the life that I never knew I could wish for.
Yeah.
To be able to work and to be able to be a mom and to be able to feel so fulfilled. It's a freaking dream. I pinch myself. I'm like, how do I get to do this? How do I get to do this?
I agree. But I do have to say that one thing people need to be aware of is that like you have to do personal work in order to run a
You do.
business.
Yes, you do.
Because people's shit is going to trigger you and going to mirror so many things to you that you have to learn how to deal with if you want to be a successful business owner. So like, I just wanted to be very transparent and clear on that like deciding to be a business owner also means deciding to own my shit and to do my personal work to heal and grow as a human being so that I am able to serve. And there's no way out of that.
There is no other choice. Yes.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful privilege to have a business that allows me to do that personal work, you know?
Absolutely. And I so ditto all of that. It's been a lot of personal work and it continues. It's never
taxing,
over.
You know,
it continues, it's the personal work always.
It's mentally taxing and you have to give yourself so much grace and space to process things that maybe if you were working a full-time job for someone else, you wouldn't have the ability to do. And that's another privilege of being your own business owner is that you are, you know, given this space to, if you need a day off, you take that day off to process things, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, doing all the work, the personal work, the growth, the healing, when you come up against your stories, like, I can't be a business person, right? Like for me, it was like, I don't want to own a business. That's so disgusting. I don't want to own a business. I don't want to be one of those business people. right? Like having to deconstruct, okay, what is this story? Where did I even get this story from? What's that even about, Stacey?
Yeah.
And untangling that and figuring out, oh, this is why I have that story and this is where it comes from and this is why. And I see that now, and then rewiring that story and really understanding what's really true for me. And I am so proud to be a spiritual entrepreneur now, right? Like I don't even like to call myself a business owner. I like to call myself a spiritual entrepreneur because that's what feels really good for me.
Yeah.
See, I still have work to do in my story about what it is to be a business person because I don't even like to say that, right? But you know, I didn't do it alone, Jen. Like I had coaches. I've had so many coaches and I've been a part of so many coaching programs because I needed the support. Like we all need the support. And I think that there was a time for me where I struggled with does it mean about me that here I am running this business, but I still need support. I still need support too. Like, well, what's wrong with me? Or I must not be good enough that I still need support. That's what I used to think. And now I say to myself, if I am not getting support always by a coach, a mentor, or a group or something, I'm out of alignment, that I'm not getting support. Because as just an HSP, forget an HSE, an entrepreneur, it's a highly sensitive entrepreneur, we need support. We have to have support. And when we lose the support, we lose touch with the support, we tend to kind of wither and forget and kind of it's really important to stay in support, whatever support looks like to you.
Yeah. Ask
you can't
for
do it
help.
alone. You can't do this alone.
Ask for help. We need help. We all need help.
And there's no shame in needing help. There is no shame in needing help. There is no there's something wrong with me that I need help. It's how does any of us do it without support? Like we're supposed to be supporting one another. It takes a village. We're supposed to be in that paradigm. But I think we all have these stories that like, there's something about us if we have to reach out for support, like we're not worthy of the support, or there's something underneath why we don't reach out for it, or we feel like
I think that's even a wonderful topic to talk about on another episode, because God knows I've done so much. Feeling worthy of asking for support, feeling worthy of investing in ourselves.
Oh, that's a big one for so many people I know.
That's been one of the biggest challenges for me, especially being a mom of four. Oh yeah.
It's a lot of mindset work. It's a lot of healing. It's a lot of shadow work. It's a lot of daily practice. It's a lot of everything. But at the end of the day, even though it's so much work, I pinch myself every day and go, I'm so lucky. Like, I'm so happy that I get to do this. Like, I would rather be nowhere else. Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
feeling complete. I'm feeling complete on this episode.
Absolutely. I hope that we were able to give some insight and inspiration to some other people out there who are already entrepreneurs or are thinking about it, you know?
And I want to have a call to action to everyone out there listening, like, be good to the business people that you know, be kind to the small business women that you know. It takes a lot of guts and a lot of courage and a lot of work for people to run a business. So if you're not in touch with your local community or your local business owners, like, please be kind when you see those posts. Like, I used to hate those posts on Facebook when someone would like have something they were selling. And now I'm like, all I do is cheer on those women now. Like, good for you. And I'm so happy for you. And like, how can I support you? How can I help other people to find you? Right. Because it takes so much courage and work to put yourself out there as a business owner.
Totally agree.
Support your local business people, because they're trying to do a whole lot of things. They're raising families. Some of them it's a second job. Some of them it's their third job.
Yep.
Right. Like, they're feeding a family from their business. So anyway, I just wanted to put a little.
No, I totally agree. Thank you.
Public service announcement. Support your local business people. All right, Jen, I will talk to you soon.
All right. Have a great week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.